So I love Halloween. I love everything about Halloween. I love the movies. I love the decorations. I love dressing up. I love giving candy out to the kids. The only thing I don't like is the food associated with Halloween. I mean, let's face it, it's all chocolate covered, hard candy coated, sour centered, yeah. I like a real savory meal. I like a holiday with traditional foods. Luckily, there's a holiday that coincides with Halloween that's just what we're looking for. Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead.
We got the backyard barbecues, ice cold beer, Mountain Dew. What more?
Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is a beautiful holiday. It's a day to take time to remember the ones we've lost along the way. Family and friends gather, they make the favorite meals of their loved ones that they've lost. They share stories, laughter, maybe even a few tears, and just take time to honor those that we've loved and lost. I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's something we're going to do today. Now, how are we going to honor those that we love by making favorite foods? Today I'm going to do it a little different. See, I'm from the South, so I've got to have some Southern elements in there. My wife has a Hispanic heritage, so we've got to have some of that in there as well. And since Dia de los Muertos is traditionally a Mexican holiday, we're going to combine all of them. I'm going to take pulled pork, one of my grandfather's favorites. I'm going to make pulled pork tostadas. And then I'm going to do some Southern grilled chicken, and I'm also going to do tostadas with those. So I'm going to get all my ingredients ready, and we can get started. So as I mentioned, I'm doing one chicken tostada. And I'm just going to grill this chicken. I'm going to take a little bit of the Little Red's original seasoning. Give it a generous sprinkling across the top of that chicken breast. I've got my grill started outside, waiting for the temperature to get where I need it to be, which is right about 350 degrees. And then I'm going to throw these chicken breasts on the grill those up, and then I'm going to shred them once I've got that done. I'm also going to grill a little bit of corn on the cob. I'm going to dice up some fresh tomatoes. I'm going to grill some jalapenos. We'll form all these tostadas. It should be really good. I've got the grill almost ready, so I'm going to get these chicken breasts done. Then we'll get to the pulled pork. Now, as I mentioned, one of the tostadas that I'm doing today is a pulled pork. Now, I have to admit, I'm totally going to cheat today. I did a pulled pork just the day before yesterday for my wife's potluck at work. I'm going to use the leftovers from that. It's a great way to use up some leftover pulled pork. We'll do a full video someday on all the uses for leftover pulled pork because there are very many. But I'm just going to tell you how I did it today so that if you want to do it, you can. Now, keep in mind, you can totally cheat with this even if you don't have leftover pulled pork. You can get from your meat section at the grocery store these little self-serve trays that are pulled pork. Just make sure you get the sauceless kind so that you can use your Little Reds at the end to sauce it up to make sure it's really good. Even with the chicken, if you want to pick up a rotisserie chicken from your grocery store that's already cooked, you can shred that up and use that. There's always ways to cheat. But when I do a pulled pork, what I do, I take a nice Boston butt roast and I get it bone in. That's very important. I sprinkle it liberally with Little Red's rib rub. I pop it in a deep pan like this, cover it with some aluminum foil loosely, pop it in a preheated oven at 250 degrees. Depending on the size of your roast, it's going to go anywhere from 10, 14 hours. Bigger roast may even go longer than that. Best way to tell if it's done, this is why it's important to get that bone in. The bone in these is called a keel bone. And if you can take that keel bone and wiggle it, and it comes out clean, your pulled pork's done and perfect. So I'm going to get my leftover pulled pork, save this one for later in the week. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do some grilled corn to go with these tostadas and some grilled jalapenos. What I did with the corn is I just pull back the husk, I clean out all the silk, then I'll pull that husk back up and I'll put it in a bowl of water, cold water, with a little bit of salt in it for about 10 minutes before I put it on the grill. This is going to help keep everything moist and let those kernels kind of steam on the inside so the corn comes out nice and tender but fully cooked. I'm going to get these on the grill and we'll be back. Got the chicken off the grill. This has reached an internal temperature of 160 degrees, 165, so we're safe there. I'll just cut this up, shred it up, just like I did the pork, so it will go on the tostadas nicely. The corn is perfect. You can tell because it just gives way and the kernels just pop when poked with the paring knife. That's perfect. And the jalapenos are good as well. I'm going to get these all diced up and ready to go. So we have everything fully cooked. Now it's just time to assemble the tostadas. I do want to point out, a lot of you may have noticed I used a split breast chicken breast. Boneless would have been a whole lot easier to shred. I just happen to be of the school of thought that any meat cooked on the bone is more flavorful, so I choose to do it that way. Do it however you choose. We're going to assemble these tostadas. For the chicken, I like to use a refried black bean. Put a little bit of that on there. Spread it around. So I've got the black bean on there. For the grilled chicken, I took the grilled corn, I diced up a nice ripe red tomato. I even threw in a couple of heirloom cherry tomatoes just because I like the splash of color. You eat with more than just your sense of taste. You eat with your eyes, you eat with your nose. I figure the more color, the better. I'm just going to take a nice spoonful of that right in the center there. I'll get some of this shredded chicken. I tend to use my fingers. You can be proper. Use the fork. Get that shredded chicken on there nice. And then I'm going to put a little bit of this Mexican cheese. This is a fresh cheese. It's really good. You will notice it's just a crumbly cheese. It does not melt. Just there for flavor. I like just a little bit of the Granny's mustard sauce on there. It gives it a nice kick of flavor. I'm also going to put just a little bit of Mexican crema. Now, some of you may prefer sour cream. I prefer the crema. It's a little bit silkier and to me has a much better flavor. So there's our chicken tostada. And now I'm going to assemble our pulled pork, which just happens to be my favorite. For the pulled pork, I use just a regular refried bean, not a black bean, but it's up to you. You can do what you choose. Food should really be about what you enjoy, not necessarily what the recipe says. So I've got my refried bean on here. I'm going to take just a little bit of this grilled jalapeno. Sprinkle just a little bit of that on there for some extra kick. Now, the heat in a jalapeno is mainly in the ribbing and in the seeds. I tell you that so that you can take it out if you choose to. I say that because I choose to leave them in. For the pulled pork, I also like a little bit of French fried onion on there. I think it gives it a wonderful crunch and a great flavor. Goes great with the pulled pork. Pulled pork, when I'm doing sandwiches, I tend to leave not quite as shredded as what you're seeing here. I just feel like when it's being put on a tostada, the finer the shred, the easier it is to keep it all in one place. These are not exactly easy to eat foods. They're a little bit messy, but they sure are good. So I've got my pulled pork on there. With the pulled pork, I like the cherry chipotle sauce. Great flavor. Excellent with the pulled pork. Really gives this a nice kick. So I'm going to put just a dash of that on there. At least what I consider to be a dash. And again, a little bit of that Mexican crema instead of the sour cream. But like I said, totally up to you. Your choice. And then just like with the chicken, I'm going to top that with a little bit of this fresh Mexican cheese. Now we have our pulled pork tostadas, our chicken tostadas. We are ready for a fantastic meal to share with our family and friends. Now we're going to share a few stories about those loved ones we lost along the way, because that's what today's really all about. Hey guys, did I ever tell you about the time my papa took me to the Alabama-Auburn game?